Okay, we'll make a start. Good morning, everybody, first of all, and a very warm welcome to Lancaster. I'm sure you've heard that quite a few times already over the last week now. My name is Ben, and I work for Information Systems Services, more commonly abbreviated to ISS. And we are the department at Lancaster that manage all of the digital and IT-related systems. So I'm going to talk to you this morning just about some of the key things in terms of digital and IT that you'll need to know about and point you in the right direction to get further help when you need it. I'll just introduce my colleague Leslie as well from the library. She's going to be talking to you after me about some of the key services to be aware of in terms of the library. So the first thing to talk to you about before we get into services is your university account. So hopefully by now you are all in possession of your IT account details. Hopefully many of you received those before you arrived. A few of you might have just got those this week. Your IT account consists of three primary things. So number one is your username. So that's usually takes the form of your surname, possibly a first initial, maybe some numbers. And sometimes you're required, when you're putting your username in, for certain services, like Wi-Fi, for example, to add @lancaster.ac.uk onto the end of your username. So blogsj@lancaster.ac.uk. That's different from your email address. So the email address you can give out to people and use for services usually takes the form first initial dot surname, possibly some numbers. Okay. So the two things, your username and your email address, are different from each other. Use the top one to sign into services, the second one is to give people to contact you. And the final thing that goes with that is your password. And your password is just that, it's yours. Please do keep it safe. Please don't share it with anybody. Nobody at Lancaster, so not ISS, not your academics, not departmental staff, nobody will ask you for your password. So please do be wary of any requests that you get for people if you're asked to share your password. The other thing that sits alongside your university account in terms of giving access to IT services is your university card. So there's certain services, for example, releasing printing at printers, where you're required to scan your university card. There's lots of other things that you need to use your card for as well. Things like accessing buildings, loaning a laptop in the library, taking books out of the library, accessing the sports centre if you choose to get a sports centre membership. And there's lots of other things as well. So that university card is really, really important. For example, all of the learning labs that, if you're living on campus here and you're in your colleges, you've got learning labs that you can access 24 hours a day, but you will need to swipe your university card to get into those labs. So the two things together, university account, university card, give you access to the whole range of digital services at Lancaster. So, to keep things brief this morning, I'm just going to talk you through the top 8 things that we think you need to know. However, there are hundreds of IT services at Lancaster, so I'll point you at the end to information about all of the whole wider range of services that are available. But the very first thing, and I think one of the most important things for you all, is Wi-Fi, and I'm sure many of you have successfully connected now to Wi-Fi. Just a note on Wi-Fi, really, that the Wi-Fi service that you want to make sure you're using on all your devices is the EduRoam network. So you may have connected to a visitor network when you arrived, and that's okay for your first couple of days, but that quickly becomes frustrating because it asks you to sign in every 24 hours. So if you've been using the visitor network, it's well worth taking the time to follow through the instructions to connect to EduRoam. So EduRoam is a network that's available right across the campus, so in all of the open access spaces, teaching spaces, the library, in your accommodation, in many of the open spaces on campus as well. But it's also available in some parts of Lancaster City and many other universities. So when you go to other cities across Europe, across the world, sometimes you'll find that you're connected to EduRoam Wi-Fi, high-speed Wi-Fi, through virtue of the fact that you are a Lancaster student. So it's a really, really useful Wi-Fi network to be connected to. It's worldwide. So if you've not got connected yet, or if you've got other devices you want to connect, you can connect all of your devices to EduRoam. The easiest way to do it is just to select the visitor network from your list of networks, but make sure you fully follow the instructions for students to connect to EduRoam. So particularly if you're using Windows or an Android device, you will need to make sure you follow the instructions to get a secure connection. Okay. So yeah, or if you prefer, rather than connecting to your visitor, you can just go to the web address at the bottom there on whatever device you're on, and that'll give you the full instructions you need to connect. Once you're connected, that's it. You don't need to do it again. Second thing to tell you about is how you access information. So the student portal is the place to go. So for things like Moodle, which is the virtual learning environment at Lancaster, that's where you can get all your lecture slides and course materials and so on. Student news, information about events, so events that your college might be putting on or your department. Library information related to books you might have outstanding, and Leslie's going to talk to you more about the library. Your student records, so your marks so far. All of this can be found and an awful lot more via the portal. So if you're ever unsure about where to go to access something online, always start with the student portal and you can't go wrong. You'll find links there to everything that you want. And alongside the portal sits our app. So the iLancaster app, I'm sure many of you got this before you came to Lancaster, but if you haven't already got it, it's well worth downloading iLancaster. When you sign in, just a note that you should use the student profile. Some of you, depending on how you set up iLancaster before you came, may just need to sign out and sign back in again now you're here as a student in order that you get your full timetable and everything comes across correctly as a student. So if you've got any issues with iLancaster and you were using it before you came, just sign in again. Okay, but for those of you that are not using it, there's some really great features in there. You've got our Ask LU service, an Alexa-style service that is. You've got maps of campus, so if you're struggling to find your way to different parts of campus, you can use it for that. Timetables, so that's your academic timetable. Bus times for getting into town, and there's an awful lot more in iLancaster as well. One of the key things that is in iLancaster is attendance check-in. So for most of you, depends on your programme of study, but for most of you, you'll be required to check in your attendance at your timetable teaching sessions, so lectures and seminars. So hopefully your department have already informed you about this, but it's really, really easy to do. You'll get notified when you're in a lecture that you're in the space. It'll tell you can check in. Okay, so that's just another important part of the iLancaster app. Next thing is your university email, and again, hopefully many of you have got access to this already. We recommend that you make sure you're checking your university email at least once a day, but for many of you, your preferred way of picking it up will be to set up an app on your mobile that will push email notifications out to you as soon as emails come in, and that would be preferable. All university email and related services are delivered via Microsoft Office 365, so that means you can use any email app that you like to pick up your email. If you're struggling, we recommend using Outlook. So Outlook, you can download the Outlook app for free on Windows and Mac. You can get the Outlook mobile app on iPhone and Android and iPads and so on. Or you can just go to lancaster.ac.uk/Office365 and use Outlook on the web to access your email. Lots of different options for accessing your email. But like I say, please make sure you're checking your email at least once a day, as that is the main way in which your department and the university will contact you. Next thing is some of the freebies we give you now you're a student at Lancaster. So you get access to install the full version of Microsoft Office on up to 5 of your own devices. So Windows, Mac, iPad, iPhone, Android, it doesn't matter. You can download the apps, sign in to the Office apps on up to 5 devices with your university credentials. We also give you a enterprise-grade antivirus software, security software free as well. So Symantec Endpoint Protection can be downloaded for Windows and Mac. So no need to pay for Microsoft Office, no need to pay for any antivirus software. Please feel free to use the ones that we provide for you. And in addition to Microsoft and Symantec, We also have a huge catalogue of site-licensed academic and related software. So many of you will be on degree programmes that require you to use particular software, and most of the time we're able to procure that and provide that to you completely free of charge via our Apps Anywhere service. So if your degree programme requires you to use like SAS or SPSS or R or MATLAB, something like that, we've got hundreds of software titles. Go into Apps Anywhere, lancaster.ac.uk/apps, and you'll be able to get access to that whole catalogue. That's also the place you can go to find out more about getting Office and getting Symantec as well. Next thing is about safety of your work. So this is really important to us, as every year we have students coming to us with a broken USB drive or a computer that's broken, asking if we can recover the work, or they come to us saying they've lost the USB drive. Is there any way we can get access to the work that they've been working on? And the answer usually is always no, we can't. So using USB drives is not a good idea. We kind of discourage their use now, kind of in the same way that people don't use floppy disks anymore and CDs anymore. We're trying to discourage people now from using USB drives, simply because they're not safe. They're not a modern way to store your work. If they get lost, there's no way of recovering them. So every year we have students who write 5,000-word essays, save them just on a USB drive, lose it, and then they're in tears when we tell them they have to rewrite it, which, if you haven't written a 5,000-word essay yet, let me tell you, you don't want to have to do the same thing twice. Much better is to make use of a modern storage service like one of our cloud storage services. So we give you, as a student, 2 terabytes of storage completely free as part of Microsoft OneDrive. So in the same service that provides your email and your calendar and lots of other related services, you can also get completely free cloud storage. The great thing about that is it's all online, it's all completely backed up, safe, secure. It's virtually unlimited. That you're really going to struggle to fill 2 terabytes. So you can be guaranteed that if you're working on something, the worst happens and you lose your laptop or it breaks, you still have full access to all of your work online on other devices. It syncs across your devices. So please do make use of one of these modern services. And don't just store work on USB drives or on the hard drive of your computer. Next thing, whilst we are highly digital as a university, and we like to think of ourselves as being environmentally friendly, we recognise that occasionally it is still necessary to print work out. And when departments do ask you occasionally to print work out, we have a high quality print service that you can use for that. So there are printers right across the campus, so in the library, in your colleges, in your departments, you'll usually find printers, and they're all the same, they're all identical. Really, really easy to use. If you use a Learning Lab PC, click print, you'll get a colour or a mono option, so colour or black and white basically. Black and white's a bit cheaper than colour. Once you've hit the print button, go to any printer anywhere, scan your university card on the printer, and it'll just print out your work. So super simple. You can also print from the web, and you can also set up your own devices, your own laptops to be able to print from those as well. Just go to print.lancaster.ac.uk for further instructions. And lastly, just a couple of points about keeping connected. So as well as the high-speed Wi-Fi service that's provided in all of your accommodation, for those of you who want an even faster and even more reliable connection, you can choose to plug in the Ethernet cable you've been provided into your laptop or desktop PC, and that gives you a high-speed connection via a service we provide for you called ResNet. That may be useful to you if you're dealing in large amounts of data, like research, for example, or if you're a gamer and you want a really low latency connection, then connect to ResNet, and that'll give you an even better connection than the already very, very fast Wi-Fi connection here. Another point is, as well as email and OneDrive that we provide you with via Office 365, you can also get access to an app called Microsoft Teams via Office 365. Really great for group collaboration. So I would suggest that most, if not all of you, at some point during your programmes of study will be required to collaborate and work in groups. Teams is a really great way of facilitating that. It allows you to work on files at the same time, actively collaborate and have group discussions. So it's well worth just having a look at that. And a last little point, that sometimes if you're off campus, away from the campus, and you want to access certain Lancaster IT services, you'll need to connect to something called the VPN. Now, don't worry too much about it. You can access most things now without it. So you can access the student portal and email and so on without it. But there may be certain things, for example, accessing certain software when you're off campus through Apps Anywhere, you may need to connect to the VPN. But don't worry, it'll tell you what to do. And in addition to all of these services, we also provide a huge range of completely free IT and digital skills training. So for students, we have a program called the Digital Skills Certificate. Basically, this is a program that you can study completely online in your own time at your own pace. It's closely linked to the Lancaster Award, if you might have already heard about that. And it's really a great way to learn new skills, but also, if you achieve the Digital Skills Certificate at Lancaster, it goes on your HERE transcript when you graduate. So it's a great way of proving to employers that you've taken part in extracurricular activities, that you've upskilled yourself in different ways, in different areas while you've been at Lancaster. Not only that, it can just be incredibly useful for your study. So, for example, you can study a course in formatting long documents and thesis and dissertations in Microsoft Word, which for many of you, you may be coming to university and writing long documents for the first time. There's a lot of tools in Word that can help you. You can study a course in video production and editing. So if you're part of a society, you need to produce videos, high-quality videos. You've not done that before, you can do that. But then we've got other things like computational mathematics in MATLAB, or data analysis using SPSS. So skills that you may want to develop that aren't part of your degree program, but you can develop those. All completely free, all available online. We also have sessions available that you can attend in the library as well, completely free. So if you prefer not to learn online, you prefer to have a trainer in person, you can do that as well. So I definitely encourage you to engage with that while you're here and make the most of that opportunity. So lastly from me, whilst we do endeavour to provide a really high quality set of IT services for you, we realise that occasionally things might not always go right. Occasionally you might need some help and support. Now, what I would advise, if something is not working quite right for you, or if you want any more information about anything that I've talked about today at all, any of those services, or if you want to access the free training that I've talked about, the best place to start for any of that is Answers. So lancaster.ac.uk/answers. When you get in there, you can search for any topic. So you might search for SPSS. When you do that, you'll find out how to install Access SPSS. You'll find out about the training for it. Or if you're struggling with Wi-Fi, do a search for Wi-Fi, and all of the articles there will help you with any problems that you might be having. And then if you do get stuck in Answers, you can easily report problems from there to our service desk as well. If you prefer, particularly this week, while you're new, you might just think, I just want to talk to somebody. And you can always go along to the support desk in the Learning Zone during working hours, so Monday to Friday during working hours, where there will be people from ISS on hand to help you with any problems you might have. So give Answers a go first, but if you're really struggling, just go along in person. So the Learning Zone, if you haven't found it yet, is just off Alexandra Square, 2 minutes walk down the spine in that direction. Okay? People are there, like I say, all this week, so if there has been something you've been struggling with, just go along there and they'll help. Okay, I think that's everything from me, so I'm going to hand over to Leslie. All that remains for me to say, really, is enjoy your time at Lancaster. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'd like again to introduce you, to welcome you to Lancaster from all the teams in the library, and also welcome you to the library. So in the next 15-20 minutes, I'll talk to you about the library spaces, about the library resources, and about the people in the library who are here to support you while you're studying at Lancaster. So my name's Leslie, and I'm one of the faculty librarians. I support students in the Faculty of Science and Technology, but I'll introduce you to the wider team in a few minutes. So just out of interest, could you just raise your hand if you've already been into the library? Okay, quite a few of you. Have you noticed anything unusual about our library? There's a tree. Does anybody know what the tree's called? He has a name. He's called Norman, so that's an interesting fact for today. Okay, so let's move on. Okay. So first of all, I'll introduce you to the library space. So I know a few of you have been in there, but I'll just talk through what's available in the library. So if you haven't already been in, we're in Alexandra Square. Okay, the library's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in term time. And in vacation, I've just checked the opening hours on our website, because that varies throughout vacation. So there's around 1,300 study spaces in the library building at the moment. Okay, have a look round, see which suit you, which areas of the library suit you. Some of them have got fixed PCs. We've got a laptop cabinet on A floor where you can borrow laptops with your library card, and also bring in your own devices. So there's power at each desk. There are around 650,000 print books in the library. Okay, so quite a lot, and I'll explain how to find the print resources in a little while. So we also have different spaces to suit your needs. So if you walk into the library on A floor, that's a little noisier as you walk in, but it's also, go to the back of A floor and it's fairly quiet to work. But if you're looking for silent study spaces, go up to B and C floor. Okay, you can usually work in silence in those spaces. In the reading room, if you haven't been in there, go in there, it's amazing. You can actually hear a pin drop in there. And the PG study space, I'll mention a little bit more in a moment. And Ben mentioned, I sort of wondered where you'd gone then, Ben, about working collaboratively. So there are a number of group study rooms that you can book from the library website, from the Lancaster app, that you can book for 3 hours a day up to 9 hours a week. So if you need to work in groups, you can book those. They're available for 4 people up to 8 people. We've got technology in there, so if you need to practice presentations, you can use those. Okay, so I mentioned briefly postgraduate study spaces. So on C floor, we've got a postgraduate study room. Just use your university card, it's swipe access. We also have study spaces in Graduate College. And if you are living in town, you don't need to come up. We've got the Story Institute, which is fairly near the train station, okay? And again, the room in there, if you take your university card in with you, it's swipe access to use that as well. Okay, so that's really the physical library. There's a huge amount of resources that you can access that are electronic, so I'll talk you through some of those now. Okay, so we have around 400,000 ebooks, around 47,000 electronic journals, and 250 specialist databases that you can access by being a student at Lancaster. So you can access those through the library website, and that's how I'll demo a lot of this today. You can access it through the student portal, so you'll see a library tab, through iLancaster, and also through the Moodle. And I've just put a link to the library website on there. And all you need to log in, wherever you are, so you may be on the bus coming onto campus, you may be on placement, you may be going home for vacation, so you can access all of these resources just by logging in with your Lancaster username and password. I'll talk to you about OneSearch in a moment, but OneSearch is our library catalogue, but you can log into OneSearch and have seamless access to most of our resources. As Ben said, just keep your username and password secure. If you do forget your password, you can reset that through ISS. You can see on the screen here, I've just got an image of the portal. So if you haven't already had a look at the portal, you can see that there is a library tab on there. And from this image, you can see it tells me what books I might have out. It gives me the link to book a study space and other information on there as well. So that's the starting point to access your resources. You might be thinking about, well, how do I know what's recommended to me? How do I go beyond a reading list? So if I start off with our resource lists, so most modules will have a reading list. Okay, some of them your tutors will put a Word document up on your Moodle site, and other academics will have set up what we call a resource list. That's an online reading list. Okay. If you're on your Moodle site, if you've got a green jigsaw icon that says resource list, that will take you through to this online list. It will take you through and give you real-time availability of any print books that are on your list. If it's an electronic book, you can link through straight into the ebook, and some lecturers will put on videos or online reports, so quite varied. So very briefly mentioned OneSearch. OneSearch, like I said, is our library catalogue. It's our discovery tool. Through OneSearch, you can see what's available in print. You can see what's available digitally. Okay, I'll do a demo in a few minutes of how, how to access OneSearch and just show you how you can navigate your way around. You can search for an author. Your tutor might have given you a title, or you might just want to search for a topic. We've also got library subject guides. So your faculty librarians have put together pages for each subject that will brings all of the resources together for that particular subject. So if you're studying psychology, it will tell you what ebook collections may be relevant, which databases may be relevant for that subject. It gives you a list of class marks, so the marks on the spine of the book that can help you find books in the library. So I'll show you that in a moment. So yeah, I mentioned specialist databases, so it's 250 we have in the library. So some of those will be newspaper databases, some of them will be market research reports. So have a look round, have a browse. When you see the databases tile on the library website, that's an alphabetical list of all of the databases that we have access to. Do many of you use Google Scholar? A show of hands, yeah, okay. So you can link the Lancaster Library to your Google Scholar account. The QR code on there just takes you to a short video. But if you're familiar with Google Scholar, if you go into My Account, click on Library Links, type in Lancaster University, and you can link both. So that when you're searching in Google Scholar, it will then tell you if we have full text availability, it will say find it at Lancaster down the right-hand side. Okay, so if I do just give you a quick demo and just help you navigate your way around the website. Okay, so just going down to the first row of tiles. So we've got the databases link and the subject guides. There is a tile there for referencing. So as you start to write essays and get into your studies, your department will recommend a style of referencing. Okay, we've got lots of guides on there, so Harvard, APA, which give really clear examples about how to reference using those styles. If you want to come back to what we've talked through today, there's a welcome guide that will give you more information to follow on from my session. On the second row of tiles, we've got the opening hours, book group study space, which we mentioned. You might be wondering what noisy neighbours means. So I mentioned that B and C floor is silent study. It does get busy in there, and if people are chatting, it can be distracting. So if you are uncomfortable with someone chatting nearby, you can go on to noisy neighbours, just say where you are, and one of the library staff will just come up and have a word with people nearby so that we can keep the noise levels down. Okay, let me just go back up to OneSearch. Okay, so you can see OneSearch is right in the centre of our library homepage. I mentioned it's in other areas. Our default, let me just scroll down, our default here is books and more, but you can choose from the drop down. So you might be wanting to find books and ebooks, you might want to find articles, or you might want to search everything the library has. So I'm just going to search for a particular book. I know the author and the title, so it's a Study Skills Handbook. And I can never spell when I'm in front of a group of people, so let's try this. Okay, So I'm just going to start with the top 2 results there. I've got 2 books at the same edition, 2013, 4th edition. One of them you can see says view online. The other one says available at Lancaster University. So if I start with the second one, that's showing that it's a print book, it's physically in the library. If I click on that link, it tells me exactly where that book is in the library. So it's in the main collection, it's on A floor, and it gives me the class mark on the spine of the book, which is the JEWC. We have quite an unusual system at Lancaster. Okay, if you need any help at all in navigating the system, working out how to use this class mark system, please ask one of our members of the team. That over the next few weeks, we've got lots of people roaming around on the ground floor, so please ask them. If all of these books were out, you would have an option to request the book. And as soon as someone brought the book back, we would email you to say it's ready to pick up from A floor at the information point. Okay. Let me just go back. So can you see there's a yellow bar along the top? It's telling me to log in. Okay. So if you log in, it does give you that seamless access to all of the resources. Let me just try that. Yesterday, it didn't want to log me in, so let's try again. Okay, sorry Ben, it's logged you in. So you can see on here, actually if you go into where your name is, that's where your account is. Okay, so if you need to go in and renew any books you've got out in print, you can go into my account and renew them from there. But let me just pop back. So this first book we've got says view online. So I know that that is one of our digital books. It gives me a link. It says link for full text and it says ebook central. And there are a number of collections, so you may see different collections listed. They do basically the same thing, but the layout of the screen may just be different. It's just going to ask me to agree some terms and conditions, and then I have 2 options. I've got the option to download the book. Okay, sometimes it will be you can download a chapter as PDF, or I can read online. If you're just sat at your computer, I would recommend read online. It gives you more functions, so I can search within the book. Okay, and then if I search for a term, it will list all the pages where that term is mentioned. It lets me make electronic notes on the book, so along this toolbar, and I can highlight sections from there. I can copy and paste sections into a document, and I can also print. Now, most ebooks have an allowance for printing, which is if you were a printer in the library, the copyright regulations would say you can only print around 10% or a chapter. So the same works for ebooks. It does just allow you to print that certain amount. So it's just something to be aware of. Okay, so that's one search. Like I said before, you could search for a topic. You can search by dropping down this menu for articles and more. Okay, and that will bring back articles, conference proceedings and more. So have a look around. There are lots of tutorials available on using OneSearch, which are really useful. But just quickly go back, so you can go back to Library Home from here. Just pop into one of the subject guides. So if I have a look at this, we've got an A to Z list of subject areas. Say I'm studying psychology. And I go into one of the subject guides, and it's got tabs down the left-hand side. So you can see it's got finding books and ebooks. So in there, I mentioned it's got a list of the key class marks within that subject area. And I can go into finding journals and conference papers. And again, there's some useful video tutorials and also some of the key databases for that subject area that you may find useful, especially if you're doing a longer piece of work or coming towards your dissertation or final year project. So let's pop back to the slides. Okay, so just some practicalities. I've mentioned about finding physical items in the library. So if you do make a note, you'll see we have different collections. So you might find on OneSearch it says oversized collection or leisure reading. I'll talk a little bit about leisure reading later. So make a note of the class mark. All you need to do to borrow books is bring your university card into the library. We have self-issue machines dotted around the building. So just scan the barcode on your card and scan the barcode that's in the back of the book. You'll get a receipt for those. It's just got on the screen there how many books you can borrow for how long. And like I said before, for undergraduate and postgraduate taught students, well, you can renew those as many times as you like unless someone else is waiting for them. The only time we charge fines is if you have a book that someone's waiting for and it goes overdue. Otherwise, if it goes over by a day or two, you don't need to worry. We mentioned ebooks, okay, so some of them will allow you to download an app and read them online on your phone. Like I mentioned, you can do a keyword search, you can make notes. If you use a reference management system such as EndNote that you can get from Apps Anywhere, you can export the citation from the ebook into your account. Ben's mentioned printing already, but you will see the multifunction machines dotted around the library. You can top up your credit at the kiosk on A floor or online. And for the next couple of weeks, there's a lot of people wearing print t-shirts in the library that can just help you get started with that. Okay, so over to the library teams. So the people you'll probably see the most are our library services advisors, and they're mostly on A floor. They are really happy to help you, like we said, about finding books and finding your way around. If you want to know a bit more about using OneSearch or ebooks, go and ask them. And then we have the faculty librarians. So there's a team of us that support different faculties. We can help you make the best use of library resources, use databases, plan search strategies. So do think of us as you're going through your course. We're on the website. You can book an appointment with us, or you can drop us an email if it's a quick question, and we're really happy to help. We've also got a team who aren't based in the library, who are based in the faculties, and they're our learning developers. So they can advise and support with academic writing, English for academic purposes, exam preparation, managing your studies. And so they are another really great group of people to meet. You may meet them on your course over the next month or so. Okay, there's a link again on the library website, so you can access support through them. They do drop-ins, they do workshops, and some of them are course specific. And then we have support if you have a disability or a specific learning difficulty. We have a dedicated member of our library team called Fiona. Her email address is up on the screen, and she can support you. She offers one-to-one support in using the library and using the space and resources. We have some dedicated study support rooms in the library and assistive technology. And if you want, you can request books to be collected, so you don't need to go and find those on the shelves. Okay, so Fiona's the person to speak to. We do have a range of online learning materials, so independent learning resources. There we have the YouTube channel, which I mentioned some of our OneSearch videos, and referencing and avoiding plagiarism. So again, look for the tile that says Learn Independently on the website, and you'll be able to access those. Okay, so it's not all about your studies while you're here at Lancaster. Hopefully you'll have some time to relax. So we have some nice resources in the library that you might just want to come and have a look at. As you come into the library around the tree, we've got our leisure reading and our wellbeing collections. We have a Mandarin collection. So we've got fiction and non-fiction that's not related to your course, or it may be related to your course. Okay, so come and have a look. The topic guide that we have will just shows what books we've had in the last few months, so you can have a browse through there. And we also have streaming media, which is free. You don't need a TV license to have this, either off campus or on campus. So we've got Box of Broadcasts that we call Bob. So that's on-demand TV and radio service, so you can record, and you can also look back through the archives. So there's some great stuff on there. And Canopy, and there's you can search for films, and there is some really good films on there. I like having a look at that. So if you go to the databases link, and it's an alphabetical list, so you can just find both of those through there. Okay, nearly there. So you may have noticed, if you've been in the library, there's some signs up. So we are about to extend the library over 4 floors, and that will bring us an extra 400 study spaces. So that's due to be open January 2021. There's going to be wellbeing areas and maker spaces and supported learning areas in the library. So that's going to make a huge difference. Okay, so I'm going to put this slide up here. If you want to take a picture of that, that's got our key contact details, email, phone and our website. If you use social media, we have a Facebook, Twitter and Instagram account. We have a chalkboard just as you walk into the library at the moment. So if you'd like to leave some feedback, if there's anything you think that we could improve, please write on the board and we'll pick that up. Okay, so I'll just go on and then ask if you've got any questions for us, Ben and myself. If you haven't, you've got our contact details. So if something comes to you later on, please do drop us an email or pop in and ask. Is everyone okay? All right, thank you. And have a good day.